Yeah, just tell me when you're on.
All good. All right. Welcome everybody to a National Ag Week, as we're calling it here at PIFA, Primary Industries Education Foundation Australia. My name's Luciano Mercedes. I'm the CEO of PIFA. I'm here to welcome you to the session today on Monday, the 15th of November. So we're very fortunate today to have a session on cane growing from cane growers, and very fortunate to have farmers Zenan and farmer Paul, who are here to talk to us about cane production. And so if you've got any questions as we go, please put your questions into the chat area, which is in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. And after the presentation, we'll have time for further questions and the like. Today's session is being recorded. Could you make sure that your microphone's on mute and your camera's off during the presentation? All right, over to both of you. Thanks so much for joining us today. All yours.
All right. Hello, everybody. So I'm Zenan and this is Paul. And we're here today to discuss what it's like to be a sugarcane farmer. So firstly, we thought we'd give you some details on sugarcane because some of you might not know too much about it. So sugarcane is a tall tropical plant and it looks like bamboo. So it needs plenty of water to grow, usually about 1.5 metres of rainfall a year. Otherwise, it needs to be irrigated. So most of the sugar cane that we grow is used to extract sugar for export. However, there are other products that can be made from sugar cane. So these include things such as plastics, molasses, bagasse, clothing, pharmaceuticals, or you can also use the cane trash as garden mulch, and that's just to name a few things. So now I'll give you 10 fast facts on sugar cane, just so you can have a little bit more information. So firstly, Australia is the 3rd largest raw supplier of sugar in the world and the 7th largest agricultural exporter in Australia. There are 4,000 cane farm businesses in Australia. And the sugarcane farming in Queensland provides about 9,800 direct jobs and about 23,650 value chain jobs in regional towns and cities. There are 24 processing mills in Queensland and 6 bulk storage ports. There is 30 million tonnes of cane crushed per year, and that equates to approximately 4.5 million tonnes of sugar. And to put that in perspective, Coke uses 11 million tonnes of sugar a year. So that's just to give a little bit of perspective on scale. 85% is exported overseas and 15% is retained in Australia for use. And economically, it contributes between $1.7 to $2 billion to our economy. So Australian sugarcane is sustainably produced, with 80% of cane farm area is benchmarked in the Best Management Practice Program called BMP. So now I'm going to pass you over to Paul and we're going to run a short video for you.
Hello, my name's Paul. I'm going to introduce myself first. I'm a director of cane growers, Herbert River. I'm a 3rd generation grower on my property. On my farm size, which is a 200 hectare property, I do all the work myself. I do not employ anybody. I'm a trade qualified boiler maker, which comes in very handy in my job. So anything that's broken or needs repairing, I'm able to do that myself. On my 200 hectare property, I produce roughly 15,000 tonnes of cane per year. And at today's price, that's roughly a $675,000 gross income for the year. Out of that 15,000 tonnes of raw cane, I produce roughly 1,200 tonnes of raw sugar, which is a product that gets exported. From here, we're going to roll a little video that gives us an idea on our day-to-day workings on our sugarcane property. So as we start off here, we've hold on, we haven't got the video on. The video's coming with a little technical hitch. Right, here we go. So here's our harvesting operation. So what we have here is a harvester on the left-hand side. You see harvesting the cane. That's roughly a $900,000 piece of machinery on that side. That harvester then fills up 2 elevated tippers, which are the machine on the right-hand side that you see. There's normally 2 to 3 of them in the field when they're taking that cane to the siding. And once again, that's about a $400,000 to $450,000 piece of equipment. As you see the cane dropping into the bin out of that elevator, drops in from there, that's the cane, that's actually the stalk that is cut up. The stuff you see coming out of the back of that harvester, which is there and at the top of that hood, is just trash, which is the byproduct that is extracted out of that harvester before it's sent to the mill. So that product then drops onto our fields, which is like a mulch, which retains moisture and helps with our crop. These harvesters would harvest roughly 1,000 tonne of cane a day, weather permitting, and our harvest season runs for roughly 23 to 25 weeks of the year, depending on the size of our crop. Same machine that's come out of that field is now loading the bins, which are on our rail system, which are then taken to the mill. So as you'll see, this machine is steadily moving along. The back of that machine is lifting up at the moment as that cane steadily falls into an elevator on the front of that tipper. This is where the operator needs to be very careful not to spill any of that product. So this is an area where people that are interested in getting involved in the sugar industry can find work. So the operator of that tractor would roughly make himself somewhere in the vicinity of $80,000 per year for a 25-week season. So from here we see the cane has picked up the train's picked up that cane that was loaded onto the siding, and he is transporting that to the mill. Once again, the operator in that train is another opportunity of ways of getting into our industry. That train operator, once again, will be making somewhere in the vicinity of $80,000 to $100,000 a year for operating that machine. As you can see in the background is the smoke. That's where our mill is. All that cane gets transported to that mill. You see what you see coming out of that chimney is not actually smoke. It's merely steam. So all our mills are run off steam boilers. This is the steam product coming out of those boilers. Those boilers are run from a byproduct of the cane, which is the bagasse. So they're all self-sufficient. So that cane you see there running under that shed will run into a tippler, which tips that cane onto that conveyor belt. That conveyor belt then brings that cane up into the mill. It is then hit by a shredder, which shreds that cane into small bits of fibre, which then runs into the mill and is squashed and processed to get the juice out of it. And there's a process that runs through in that factory to turn that juice into a crystal product, which is then taken from the mill to our offshore loading facility, where our ships pick it up and move that product overseas. All right, so now we've changed progress a little. We've gone into planting. So here you'll see this is how we plant our cane. So each year we fallow probably 15% of our area. As the cane gets older, it gets diseased. and it doesn't grow as good. So we'll fallow a block, leave it for a 12-month spell period, and these blocks are then planted at the start of our next season. So this cane you see coming out of that elevator is similar to the cane you've seen in the bins, but of a different quality. So this product that's coming out of that bin that we're planting is a clean and treated product that we plant in the ground to start our first cane process. So on that machine, you'll see there is fertilizer boxes on each side of it, which as the planting process goes down, the billet is put into the ground, fertilizer is dropped next to the set. In the front of that machine, you'll see a tank, which is a fungicide, which is treating that billet as it goes into the ground. And then once again, on the side of that machine is an insecticide, which is sprayed over the billet to stop any infection from insects while that billet is growing. So each of those billets has an eye on it, and from that eye is where our cane will then strike from. So this machine, here's our product after roughly 3 weeks. You can see our cane starting to spike. Once again, the same paddock, 3 or 4 weeks later, you can see how that cane is starting to move along. As I said before, with the fertilizer that runs into that plant as it goes, it's all prescription. It's all done through our soil tests. So there's only the amount of product going onto that land that is needed to grow that crop. So once that crop has come up, we then have to fertilise. Once again, this fertiliser is probably more so in our returning crops. And same thing, our fertiliser prescriptions are all done off soil tests, which we're only able to put a certain amount of fertiliser on our blocks. And once again, at prices of fertiliser, we don't want to be wasting any of that fertiliser whatsoever. So this machine is running up that paddock, putting out fertiliser. So this would be a GPS machine. That fertiliser will be placed at the centre of the stool and under the ground. So there's no way that nutrient has any chance of running off and leaving our paddocks. Here we've got just a basic overview of our landscape. We're basically in a floodplain, so the darker areas are our creeks and river systems. Different colours in those fields that you're seeing would be different varieties, crops at different growths of their different stages of their growth, and the browner blocks would either be fallowed paddocks or just harvested paddocks, and there's a river that you can see in the background. That's a basic cycle of growing cane.
Okay, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about our family farm and my role on the farm. So our family farm is a mix of corporate and farms that we own. We've been farming family in North Queensland for around 114 years. And at the moment we have 8 family members working on our farm. So that includes my husband and his brother, Michael's parents and his uncle, and also some nieces and nephews. So it's a really a collaborative family business, and we all enjoy that aspect of it. Currently we have 2,400 hectares of land, and that's spread throughout the Herbert River district, and it produces approximately 150,000 tonnes of sugarcane. We've also recently diversified into rice on our fallow crops, so that's a bit exciting for us, and we're keen to see where that takes us. We also need to employ additional members of people to work seasonally. So we have the people working on our harvesting crew, and also we have extra employees who work on the farm as farmhands, and they might be spraying or slashing and just general farm jobs because it's too large of an organisation to just keep it all in-house. I've only been on the family business for the last couple of years, and prior to that I was a social worker working in aged care system. And then as we expanded, there was a need and a role to fill, so I've come back to work on the farm. And my role at the moment, I'm sort of the office manager, which is a pretty broad role, and it has me doing many different things. And some of those might include, I'm accounts receivable and payable, preparing tax documents. I'm also doing payroll. I do a bit of cane pricing now. We price our own cane, so I'm involved with that. I do a lot of farm mapping. So we do all our mapping and we need to upload all the data around that. I deal with general administrative tasks. We look after the employees, a lot of OH&S, and I also find myself attending quite a lot of meetings. I think it's really important to keep abreast of industry information and developments and find out what's going on and bringing that back to the family. So that's just sort of a small taste of what I might do in the day. So now we're going to show you through photos of some sort of technologies that we utilise within our farm business, just to give you a bit of an idea of some later developments. And I'll just hand over to Paul here to talk to you about what this is.
So basically what you're looking at here is a GPS unit. This is in a harvester, so that large green machine that we've seen operating in the first video, the harvester. So that harvester basically runs up and down GPS. So once that starts its track in the paddock, the operator will basically press a button and this machine will just drive itself up and down exactly over the centre of the row where it needs to be. So that helps with operator fatigue and doing a better job.
So here we have a photo of a drone. So drone technology has become really popular in the last few years for cane farmers. So it's really exciting space to be in. So this drone pictured is spraying over the cane. So we can use drones for a variety of tasks on our farm. And at the moment we utilise them, we do a lot of EMS mapping, which is electromagnetic mapping, and that helps us track growth cycles of the cane, also soil conditions, that sort of thing. And it's really also a really great tool for when the cane land is too wet to get on with machinery. So we're able to kind of send the drone out to see what's going on and getting that sort of data in real time. And that really supports us in terms of effective time management, helps us make good production choices, and yeah, drone technology is really becoming quite a valuable tool for us. So yeah, this is phone. So we obviously utilise our phone more and more out in the paddock. There's a lot of apps that you can utilise to get data in real time. So we might get real time cane pricing, also soil test results. We can also get on and see how our cane has crushed for that day, no matter where we are in the paddock. So I guess phone technology and apps and those sorts of things are really important to the daily life of most farmers as well. So yeah, so now we've got another short video, and this one here is showing some land stewardship about how we take care of the land and what that looks like for us within our district. So I'll let Paul have a bit of a chat around that when we play it.
Okay. So this video is really easy for me to explain because it's actually in my area. All right. So as I said, this is very close to where I farm. So as you're seeing here, just once again an overview. You can see how close we are to any creeks and river systems. What you're looking at here is a sediment pond, which most of us have in our properties. So any of the runoff that comes off our paddocks will run into these sediment ponds, capture any sediment or nutrient that comes off our fields. That way there it's not sending it off out into our waterways. So the water will run into this, sediment will drop out, nutrient will drop out into the bottom, and the clean fresh water just runs out over the top. So in these ponds, there's always an abundance of fish life, and because this is in my area, I know for a fact there's actually a 4-metre crocodile that lives in that actual pond. So yeah, as you see on most of our farms, we have buffer zones. So coming out of the paddock, you will see a really green grassed area, which will once again catch any nutrient. There's a good shot of it there. Any nutrient will be caught in that green grassed area, and then from there into our sediment ponds. So we are very aware of what's coming off our properties. From here, I'm just going to show you some photos of our area. I'm sure everybody has heard how bad the reef is doing and how much damage growers are doing to it. This is not a generic photo. This is a photo that I've taken because I'm an avid fisherman. I enjoy going to the reef. Our reef ecosystem is absolutely pristine, as you can see from that water out there. Our outer barrier reef has no nutrients from our farms in it whatsoever. So we are very careful what runs out into our waterways. We do not want any of our product running out into our reefs and destroying anything. We enjoy our reefs, and we need to, like I said, I'm a 3rd generation grower, and I need to leave my area in as good or better condition than when I started with it, and that's our goal.
Yeah, so I'm going to just talk about a little bit about career paths for people that might be interested in becoming involved in the cane industry. So I guess there are many different career opportunities for people to join the cane industry. You could be looking at a hands-on role on a general farm, and that could be, doing such things as spraying, driving a tractor, fertilizing. You may want to gain practical experience and then at some stage, purchase your own farm. You can also be involved in the cane industry in a bit more indirectly, I guess. The harvesting side of things, you can drive a haul out or a harvester, and people do that seasonally, as Paul discussed previously. You can also work at one of the cane processing mills, which are dotted all over Queensland, and there's a variety of roles that are available for people there, and they include such things as loco drivers, engineers, electricians, boiler makers, lab technicians, though there is a lot of opportunity there. But if you're interested in the research and development side of things, you could also look to study agronomy at uni, and then you can work to support the industry research and development, which may lead you to work for a government organisation such as Sugar Research Australia or the Cane Productivity Services. So they're really important organisations that develop new varieties for us to plant, and also looking at the latest developments for us. There's also some really exciting new technologies that you could choose to support the industry in. Fields such as robotics, software development, drone technology, which you could also go to university and then look to specialise within those areas to support the cane industry. Personally, we often have a lot of young people come through the farm and they do work experience with us, which is really great, and we love that. And then from there, some of them choose to go and undertake agricultural courses at TAFE, and that's or through their high school, and that's sort of how they get a foot in the door and realise that they'd like to join the cane industry. I mean, often on-the-job training is the best way to learn, so we're always happy to have people on our farm. So I suppose the overall view, there's many pathways to farming and very varied ways to get there, but the people that are doing it are really passionate about what they do, and they love it. So it's really a lifestyle and not just a job. And we really need to encourage more young people to join us in our industry. There's a crucial job shortage at the moment for labour, and so we need to look at ways to get young people into our industry. So yeah, that's really important to us. So yeah, and I guess we also like to say that working in the cane industry, Paul, is really rewarding, and I think there's a lot of reasons for that. I guess you get to spend your majority of your day outside. You're fit and healthy. You're contributing to the the economy. You're growing something tangible. You're living in a rural community, and like you said, you do get a broad range of skills. If you want to add anything to that.
No, we enjoy what we do.
Yeah, it's really great, and you can sort of upskill yourself and become involved in the broader issues, and join boards and try and effect change as well. So it's really, you can choose to do as much as you want with it. So yeah, we just really we just want to ask if anyone has any questions for us.
Yes, if anyone's got any questions, and I've actually put a couple of questions in here just to get the ball rolling. Is all cane harvested green and not burned? Because once upon a time, you have this memory of them, burning the cane fields and things like that. I don't see that much anymore. So, and I noticed all the cane was being harvested green. So, is that how things happen these days?
Yeah, good question. In our area, it's 100% green. In the Burdekin, they burn their cane for the mere reason is they irrigate. They have a very flat landscape. When they flood irrigate, there is no way of them being able to flood their ground with trash on it. In our area, we're rain fed from naturally. So we're able to keep that trash blanket on top of our ground, which holds our soil and holds our moisture.
Fantastic. And you already answered the question about GPS technology. That's a really good thing to know, that your tractors are all set up with that technology, which is all about precision agriculture, which is a fantastic thing. We've got a question here. Do you have any problems with pests?
Yes, we certainly do. Well, we can have a lot of trouble with feral pigs which can cause quite a lot of trouble and damage to our cane, and they think it's amazing. Yeah, they think cane is just delicious, and they're huge and they run through it. They cause a lot of damage to our cane, and rats as well at the moment I think have been quite a bit of an issue around the district. So yeah.
So we do have a pig program that runs in our district, which is vital to us. We're surrounded by a lot of national parks in our area, which most of our pig problems come out of our national park. So we have a setup here in England that controls the pigs. Rats, once again, is an issue, and it's a constant ongoing issue. Being able to control those pests, and that's alongside a lot of the other diseases that we have to deal with.
Disease as well, besides actual feral pests, is a big issue for our cane. So they're always trying to look at developing disease-resistant varieties, but developing varieties takes a really long time to get them into the cycle for us. So I think that's ongoing for us.
Anybody else have any questions they'd like to ask? A great opportunity, because it's been a fantastic presentation. I've learned heaps already, and I think it's very inspirational to learn so much more about the cane industry.
Right. Yeah,
any other questions? I've got another question for you. So one of the other byproducts or products of cane is ethanol. Is there special cane that's grown for that, or can any cane be used for it? And whereabouts in Queensland do they send the cane for ethanol production?
Ethanol is pretty contentious. I don't believe there's special varieties for that. We essentially, as farmers, we send it to the mill, and then we don't sort of follow it through the chain, I suppose. We're always quite supportive of developing the ethanol industry. It's another product for us, but we've sort of had some starts and stops with that. I know a lot of other countries look bigger in the ethanol industry.
Where we're at the moment with production of ethanol, it's probably becomes more expensive by the time it's produced than fuel is, until governments start to mandate some sort of subsidy on it. For us to go into ethanol is very difficult.
Brazil is the biggest producer of ethanol at the moment, so they sort of have the lead on that, and we're sort of struggling to get there really.
It's something that we definitely have looked at throughout the time. It's a green, renewable form of energy, so
we're definitely advocates of it. For sure.
Excellent. It's all very fascinating to know that there's one product, many uses, and it's an amazing product in that way. Another question for you in terms of careers. So if young people are interested in getting involved in careers in the cane industry, what's the best way of getting into the industry at the moment, considering there's lots of opportunities? Would they go directly to cane growers or to individual farmers, or what's the best pathway?
Well, I guess there's a lot. Cane growers is a good place to start, I get, because we're situated locally, and they do have all the knowledge around people looking for certain roles as well. So if you want to be an actual haul out, it depends really what you want to do. So I think if you're looking at driving harvesters and hauling out, or farm hands, sometimes it's word of mouth, or just getting on the Facebook sites and social media. I know a lot of people put out calls for jobs on on those. Cane Growers website, that's a good place to have a look. And
there are groups out there that are putting potential growers in touch with
linking up
growers that are wanting to exit the industry. I think you're involved.
Yes, yeah. So there's when people are looking to. So the average age of our cane farmer is fairly elderly, and so a lot of those are looking at transitioning out of the industry. So it's about linking up those people with prospective people wanting to join the industry. So yeah, there is some organisations that do link up, and they're very supportive, and you can get a lot of information and knowledge. Often mentoring as well is a great thing. Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways. It's just, and just even contacting us, or one of the board, we can help link people up as well.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Got another question. How have you been impacted by COVID?
We've been very, very lucky because we're probably so remote.
It really, it's Ingham's remote and Queensland's, I guess, being a bit sort of not in the front line of COVID. So it's essentially been business as usual for the most part for us. So we acknowledge that we've been super lucky and we're able to still do our farming and get our crops off without too much disruption. We've sort of done some COVID policies within our own organisation in terms of, sanitising and, flus and things like that. But it's really been...
Yeah, it was a concern when it started because the unknown, but we've coped with it really well.
Yeah.
How's it affected labour, like getting labour from other states and overseas labour? Is that a component in your industry?
I think a little bit.
Probably a small component, yes.
Not a major labour component from overseas for, I guess, the Ingham district.
As you've seen, most of our stuff is fairly specialised, so you have to have some experience. It's not something you can just stick a backpacker on some of those machines. So.
I think more the fruit picking up here, pineapples and lychees and things, that's been more problematic for the backpackers to come over.
So you're very fortunate there. There's one other impact that I've heard about recently is that the price of fertilizer is increasing on a global scale, and so that will have a major impact on your industry as well as other agricultural industries.
Yeah.
How will your industry? So a lot of people are saying, well, production will be cut next year because of the cost of the supply and of fertilizers. So will that impact your industry?
We can still get the fertilizer, so we're not. There's no shortage of it. The price has probably gone up somewhere in the vicinity of 80% compared to what it was last year.
Really, really expensive. So I guess people might look at perhaps reducing the amounts of fertilizer they put out.
It's a very difficult thing. Like I said, our fertilizer programs are run by our soil tests. We're allocated a certain amount of fertilizer that should go on those crops. If you want to grow that crop of cane, that amount of fertilizer basically has to go on there.
Highly regulated we are with it.
Yeah.
It's a matter of managing our budgets and we've got to put it out to get the crop in for next year. So it's just one of those balancing acts, really.
Indeed, as it always is.
Yeah.
Always, isn't it? All good. I unless we have some more questions, then we might come to an end and say thank you so much for your presentation today. It was sensational. And certainly lots of things to learn there about cane production, which is, it's uniquely northern New South Wales and Queensland, which makes it a very special industry in that way, and but unique in its own way, and obviously a flourishing industry to get involved with.
That's right.
So thank you both for your presentation, and thanks for the schools for joining us today. And this presentation will be available as a recording on our YouTube channel, and we'll let people know when it's available. And there'll be an evaluation going to the schools after the session today. Thank you all so much for today. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Take care.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.